It is about you. You are the selling point, and the landscape is changing. So be your authentic self, because no one wants to go to work being miserable all day. Look at your own resume, look at your own LinkedIn, and look at your impact and what you have provided for that other company. And if you write things in that context, you're going to talk to the next employer.
In my opinion, it's about giving the customer what they really want and just blowing their mind once they get it. And that's what I really love to see, honestly.
Get people to do more of home cooking, home cooked meals, healthy meals, so we can all live long and happy.
I'm very proud to be a mom, because not for nothing, women are amazing.
Oh my God, the sacrifice. And how we make it look so easy.
I was just telling Joanne before we got on the call, I said, I had to run from my daughter's school. They had an Easter egg hunt. I said, all right, Mom, I gotta go to work. But, you know, just as moms, we make it happen, you know, supernatural abilities. We are the example for them, you know, and I know that with them being a better version of us.
You have to try. You never know how creative you are until you try. Because I didn't think I was creative. I found my creative side during a horrible time in my life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last Thursday in the month. Ooh, there's so much to say. My name is Athenia Rodney, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC. And I just saw a little blip of what's going on with the crash and Trump and his responses. And I look forward to watching it after this session, because I'm sure all the bloopers and everything under the sun will be in play. But I am really excited on today. We have a very special guest. It is the end of January, as I was saying, and we're about to go into Black History Month, right? Because, and I'm saying it like that because all of this stuff that's going on right now, I feel like we are getting into a space of it's taboo to say African American. It's taboo to say Black. Oh my gosh, if I say diversity, equity, or inclusion, it's like I'm going to get fired. So yes, I am going to say diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I'm my own boss. So who's going to fire me? Hey! But I say that all to say welcome again for joining us. This is going to be a really great session. We are doing a pre-kickoff to Black History Month, so we are excited about our guest on today. His name is Gene, or Gene Bouie, and also Gene Bouie. See, I be butchering people's names, Lord. All right, I gotta take my time and read everything. He's a seasoned executive management consultant and community leader with over 40 years of diverse experience. So I feel really, really young when I hear that. Gene's career spans various sectors, including strategy, operations, business development, and customer service, with a focus on empowering organizations to achieve their goals and make a lasting impact. And that is exactly what we need to do right now. That strategy part is exactly how we've gotten into this part right here, where we're at as a community. We haven't done a lot of strategy. Instead, we've done a lot of kind of post-acting or reacting to things, and not being proactive. So I'm really excited to hear what Gene has to say and where his perspective is going to come from. Gene currently serves as a business development, sales, and leasing consultant at some place in Lawrenceville. Okay, Ciocca. I'm gonna have to ask him to pronounce this. Well, Fort Lincoln of Lawrenceville, where he delivers exceptional client service. He is also the president of Tahsin Consulting Group, LLC, a management consulting firm that helps nonprofits, corporations, and small businesses achieve operational excellence and leadership development. Or maybe we need to have a good conversation after this about this. So we start reading people's bio and we're like, really? So we definitely hope we can have you come back and talk more about that as well. But Gene is deeply committed to community service. And I see that in the presentation that we're going to be talking about on today, having held senior roles at educational testing services and spearheaded workforce development initiatives at the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. As a Six Sigma Green Belt, I want to know more about what that is. And community advocate, Gene works tirelessly to empower individuals and organizations to reach their fullest potential. So the session today, we're going to be defining and cultivating shared values within communities. We're going to be talking about practical steps for overcoming divisions and fostering collaboration. And we're going to be aligning efforts towards common goals to drive mutual progress and success. So let's welcome Gene to the stage.
Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm good. I saw you over there cracking up. Okay, so you're going to have to tell me, how do you pronounce the name of this business? Ciocca?
Ciocca.
Okay, got it. Ciocca, Lincoln, and that's Lawrenceville. That's in Jersey?
Yeah, that's in Jersey, right down near Trenton. Matter of fact, 7 minutes from Trenton. I live in the Trenton area.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. See, look, I learned something new. I'm in Georgia, and there's a Lawrenceville, Georgia. So I was about to say, you in Georgia?
Wow.
I was like, I know you said you were in Jersey, so that is great.
Yeah.
So tell me, I do have a couple of questions before I pass the mic over to you. What is a Six Sigma Green Belt? What exactly is that?
Okay, so Six Sigma is a process improvement methodology that tries to reduce risk. So, for example, something that immediate comes to mind when you think about our community, right? We keep trying to treat symptoms instead of treating the root causes. And one of the tools in Six Sigma is a fishbone diagram. And yeah, fishbone diagram is a root cause analysis, or it's called a bunch of things. But I did one of those fishbone diagrams for gun violence in Trenton in 2020. And what you do is you hope to get to the root cause, because if you get to those multiple root causes, then you can fix the problem instead of putting Band-Aids on the problem. And Band-Aids don't stick long. Get a little water on it, it's gone out the window, right? The sore never heals, right? So that's Six Sigma.
Oh, we're gonna have to get you to come back and talk about that. That's this strategy. We're gonna need to come. We're gonna have to come back a couple of times. It's like I was saying in my introduction, we do a lot of this post-traumatic response, and not enough of the strategic planning. Albeit right now it's kind of a whirlwind, so we kind of don't know where to go and where to left or right. But I definitely think that would be really exciting to have you come back and talk about that. So
love it.
I am going to bring up your slides, and I am going to get out your way and pass it over to you, because you have some really, first of all, the slides that you have on here, the pictures are really amazing, and they are so engaging, and just bring you into, some people just put up a picture just to have the picture, but you really have the picture as a storyteller. So I'm going to let you take it away, Gene.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. While you eat your lunch, my name is Brother Gene. Sister had trouble with my last name, Bouie, but that was the name of the plantation that my family comes through. So Brother Gene will do just fine. And so to put some context around who I am and how I got to where I am, I believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so I have 6 adult children. My oldest child just turned 58 in December. I have 17 grandchildren, 16 great grandchildren. And so I was born at a time when the picture in which you see was impossible. That's the inauguration of Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, his first inauguration. And a little fact, 95% of Black people voted for him. So the first few slides that we'll go through, I'm like a lawyer building a case. And so I'm going to provide evidence that we as Black people When we unify for a common purpose, we can transform our collective reality. And so, next slide, please. And so the objectives of this, we're going to do three things. We're going to explore the purpose of shared values. We're going to define common purpose and its role in unity. And then I hope to provide some actionable strategies that will foster collaboration. Next slide. So I don't know about you, but I think I was in my 30s before I heard about Black Wall Street. And Black Wall Street was destroyed in 1921, the Tulsa race riots, as it's called. But there were over 200 businesses. And if you think about what happened after Reconstruction, that Black people had to do business with each other and create their own realities because everything was segregated. And so for me, one of the greatest examples, at least from a socioeconomic perspective, is what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Next slide. Now, remember earlier I said a picture's worth 1,000 words? Well, during the 20th century, these are some of the accomplishments, and it's a very busy slide. And I know it's busy, and hopefully these slides will get shared. But if you look at the establishment of the NAACP, the Montgomery bus boycott, the civil rights movement, the March on Washington in 1963, and then in 1995, 2 million Black men visited Washington, D.C. in the Million Man March. So these are the things that we have accomplished over time when we depended on each other, held fast to cultural pride, and realized that without each other, we all fail. Next slide. Now, the Negro League, 1920. Black ball players couldn't play in play white baseball. And so what happened? The brothers created a league of their own where they could play, generate income, provide outings for families. And it was the catalyst for Jackie Robinson going into the National Baseball League in 1947. There again, all over the country, these players traveled and provided relaxation for folks, and they stayed and ate in Black businesses. Next slide, please. Now, I'm sure many of you saw the motion picture, The Green Book. To put this in context, is that when Black families traveled across the South in particular, during segregation, Jim Crow, there were networks of hotels, restaurants, gas stations that Black people could stay at because they couldn't stay in white establishments until the Civil Rights Act from 1964. And what happened to Black businesses? We'll talk about that later on. Next slide, please. So let's get into thinking about the problem we have and how to solve them. So understanding shared values. Next slide. Okay, so shared values, core principles that bind a community together. And here are some examples: family and community, resilience, education, economic and political empowerment. Next slide, please. And why they matter. They allow us to build mutual trust. They provide a foundation for collective action. And then they strengthen our cultural pride And just to give you an example of what that second bullet looks like, and I mentioned earlier about the Million Man March. Well, to jumpstart the Million Man March and start that action that brought it about, culminating on October 16th, Minister Farrakhan traveled around the country and spoke to audiences of Black men. The first one was in New York City at the Armory. There were 7,000 Black men in the Armory, another 3,000 that could not get into the building. But by going around and speaking to all of these Black men with different ideologies, different faiths, belonging to different organizations, it culminated in 2 million men showing up to Washington, D.C. So that's what you call collective action. That's one of the best examples in my lifetime. Next slide. Okay. As I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So do you remember, for those of you who are old enough, do you remember that on the day of the Million Man March, it locked down all of the news networks? C-SPAN carried it entirely. And so the thing that we have to do as a people first is identify what's considered common purpose. Next slide, please. Okay. So defining a common purpose, we must align our individual goals with a collective aspirations. And so some examples of that is, and this is going on in Trenton, the city that I live in right now, where community members are getting together. We have advocate for social and economic justice, ensure access to quality education. I happen to have sat on the Trenton School Board for 8 years now. Quick story to show you what the power of commitment and purpose does. When I got on the school board in 2016, I was elected president in 2017. And at the time, the school district was being victimized by transportation vendors. So we had vendors who transported our special education students. And we were in the newspaper at least twice a month. So what I did was I asked the question of the then superintendent and the business administrator, what has to happen for us to take control of our transportation? So I was told you have to move to a tiered schedule. Seniors start school at 7:30, middle school 8 o'clock, and elementary at 8:30. We did that. We bought 10 buses. We have over 70 state-of-the-art school buses right now in Trenton, transporting our own children. The money that we save from the transportation vendors allow us to purchase what we call our 9th grade academy for $20 million cash, carrying no debt, and we didn't ask the taxpayers for a dime. So that's the power of when you align individual goals with collective aspirations. And so the last one is we have to promote health and wellness. Our communities are sick. They're physically sick, but they are mentally sick because the trauma of poverty is killing us a slow life. And so we have to focus on, and these are just 3 pillars that come to mind for me because I'm engaged there. And so next slide. And so barriers to unity. This is the part that we really need to focus on. So I don't know what's going on wherever you're located now, but internal challenges are division and lack of trust. We don't trust each other. Hell, we don't have Black businesses in Black communities because we won't spend our money with Black people. When I just provided all of the evidence that shows what can happen when we do. Competing priorities. On one of the slides, there's a quote that says, unity is not sameness, it is a oneness of purpose. When we define what that purpose is, no matter, here you go, great example. 5 and 3 is 8, right? 7 and 1 is also 8, right? 4 and 4 is 8, right? 8 and 0 is 8. They all get to 8, but you have different paths to get you there. So, and then external challenges, systemic racism and economic and social inequities. This is the reality of our sojourn in America. And what we have to do is we have to get rid of that woe is me mindset. Things are only the way they are because we allow them to be that way. We need to get better at strategic planning. We need to get better at developing relationships. We need to get better at driving continuous improvement. And then we need to get better at respecting each other. Next slide, please. So here's a few strategies that I hope plant seeds, right? And I happen to be a part of this, and it's called an ad hoc organization. A note went out to community leaders and community stakeholders and said, I don't mention his name, but 47 is back. You know, he used to be 45, so 47 is back, and he's back with a vengeance. And so what steps are we going to take to be proactive about how to deal with his foolishness? Excuse me for being candid. Next slide. Okay, building bridges through dialogue. So what we need to do better is we need to have open and honest conversations. And when I say open and honest, I mean that you have to be able to say and contribute what you think, right? Too often, and I left feelings out, right? Because we have to rise above emotions into the thinking of God. So many of our activities and our actions are driven about how we feel about the thing instead of how we think through the thing. And so the first step is open and honest conversations. We need to have some conflict resolution strategies to address differences, right? Because there's a gap there. That's why you see so much disruption and violence and fighting in our communities. We fight over the littlest things. And I mean, and I'm saying little because Black life has to be more important than the little things, the envy, the jealousy. And then examples of successful community dialogues and how it was leveraged is the Montgomery bus boycott, and also the Million Man March. If you want to get a glimpse of what I'm talking, they made a couple of movies about this. The first one is Boycott. It's about the Montgomery bus boycott. So if you go to Netflix, I think it's on for free. And then get on the bus about the Million Man March so that you can, you can see or get an idea of some of the things that went on to bring about those realities. Next slide, please. Okay. Leveraging shared experiences. We have to highlight common struggles and triumphs. We have to celebrate our cultural heritage and achievements. We're headed toward Black History Month in a month. When you look at the contributions of Black people, can we roll everything into a month? We should celebrate it every day. We should never be ashamed of our history and our culture. And if people are offended by us talking about being Black, by us talking about self-determination and liberation, the problem isn't with us. The problem is with them. And so next, and then some examples of the power and impact of recognition is the Divine Nine Founders Day. We've just been celebrating that. So you think about this thing started in the early 1900s It's now 2025. We're still celebrating that accomplishment and that heritage. And our fraternities and sororities are still organizing and making contributions in the communities in which they strive in. And then, from the 60s, Kwanzaa. We just celebrated Kwanzaa and the principles of Kwanzaa. If instead of just celebrating during that week after Christmas, we made them live every day, think of the transformation that those principles could bring to our collective reality. Next slide, please. Okay, collaborating for collective impact. And these are some examples of community initiatives. They're going on right now, like mentoring programs, community-led economic development, educational advocacy and literacy campaigns. Yeah, that last one we got to talk about, but I just want to say this because it's very important. One of the things that gets in the way of us and our collective success is we all want credit for stuff. We all want our names on stuff. If you look around, like I live in Trenton, there are hundreds of nonprofits in Trenton. Everybody looking to do their little piece. They have their niche where they serve, when the reality is if they all got in a room, created a strategy so that they could serve more people, they would have more power and transform more lives. And so I say that to say this. Some programs are more effective than others. There are some, I said I was gonna try not to give a plug, but I do need to give a plug here because I need to give you an example of what can accomplish. So in our area, there is an organization, it's called Building Our Youth Development. The head of that organization is Bruce Bouie. He's been at this effort of transforming our youth for 20 years. The work that he does in the classroom, in schools, we've got children now that are going to college because they were touched by these programs. Seed Male Mentoring, another program here in Trenton, celebrated 15 years, mentoring young men that are going off to college and even coming back to get an education and be teachers. So let's think more broadly about the things that we do and how can we collaborate with others to be of greater impact. Next slide, please. Okay, so we spent a whole lot of time talking, and we spent a whole lot of time focusing on me when we should be spending a whole lot of time talking on we. Next slide, please. Okay, so and this is just a draft now. I mean, I'm just, when I was invited to do this, I was thrilled. So I said, okay, Brother G, all right, you've been involved in trying to help the community. I think that I really got going probably 1992. So that's, it's 32 years ago, right? And doing my little piece wherever I found it, creating opportunity for folks who look like me. So we've got to first one, identify specific goals for the community. And we'll go back a couple of slides and get a chance to look at these slides. I'm kind of laying a roadmap for consideration. The second is create working groups or committees. So you can't eat an elephant at whole. You can't swallow the whole elephant. You got to eat the elephant in chunks. And so like-minded people with the necessary knowledge, skills, abilities, and influences need to focus on these different items: healthcare, economics, social justice, environmental justice, right? And so create those working groups And there are people, just get together, a room full of real smart people can choose the spokesmen for the group, but everybody's equal and everybody contributes their part, right? Because we all come to this with life experiences. So how do I marry my strengths with your weaknesses? And how do you marry your weaknesses with my strengths so that we do better for the whole, right? And then foster accountability through regular updates and milestones. This all gets to the planning piece. We have to do better at planning, and we have to realize, so you want to know real power? If our communities get this thing together and we start demonstrating success, it can be replicated everywhere and we all come up, right? Next slide, please. Okay. The role of individuals in building unity, right? We have to encourage active participation in community efforts. It's about sacrifice, family. And there's a lot of people that volunteer. I mean, we have volunteers in my city helping to drive literacy. The Trenton Literacy Movement has been working for almost 10 years now, trying to prove literacy for our students from K to 3, right? Those people volunteer, but they also raise money for the cause. I've been sitting on the school board. I'm going into my 9th year. It's a volunteer position. We have to be willing to sacrifice for what we say we love, and we have to be committed. And it's called balance, right? So you work, carve out a little time that you can advocate and work for those things that mean something to you, right? And then the next bullet is promote self-reflection and alignment with shared values. You gotta hold up the mirror of yourself and look at yourself and say, am I living the values that I profess from my lips? Or am I just paying lip service to this thing, right? Because we have to be committed, family. If we're going to transform our collective reality, especially in the age of 47, we got 4 years. Well, not really, and I'll talk about that as I close. But then we have to rethink how we do business, how we feel about each other, and being committed to those shared values and the power of our unity. I recall, oh my God, I must have been 18 years old. And I recall hearing a speech where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our unity is more powerful than an atom bomb. And let that sink in for a second, right? So in the first part of this presentation, I kind of showed you evidence of what we can accomplish with common purpose and unity. We have transformed our reality, and we went to sleep after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We decided, because we could spend money with folks who didn't even want us coming into their businesses, that we could spend money with them. We stopped spending money with ourselves. And I believe, and probably in the last year of his life, Martin Luther King said something about he believed that he had got his folks to integrate into a burning house. So think about this now. Think about this. There was a time when I grew up when the grocery store was owned by a Black man. The barbershops were owned by a Black man. The liquor store was owned by a Black man. The bars were owned by a Black man. The restaurants were owned by a Black man. The laundromats were owned by a Black man. What happened to us? When you look at the circulation of our dollars, the solution to our economic problems is for us to spend our money with ourselves. I'm just had to go there. Next slide, please. Great. So, in everything that we do, we have to be mindful of the power of our unity. I mean, so think about some of us I've retired 3 times already. Now I'm back doing some consulting at a car dealership because I like people. But anyway, and a friend asked me to help him out. But think about where you work. Think about the teams at work that you're a part of. Think about the people on those teams that you don't like, but you work together with them to accomplish business tasks. And some teams are very high performing, and you don't even see those people after you leave at the end of the day. Well, why is it that you can collaborate and be unified for the purpose of generating money for somebody else, and you can't do it for your Black self? So we got to be mindful of that. And then remember that we can create stronger and more vibrant and liberated communities through our unity. So yeah, I think I'm right on time with this. And so I just want you to remember something. The fact that we were emancipated in 1863, the Civil War ended 1865. We went through Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, and we still here. I want you to think about that. We're still here. In our own individual ways, we're still thriving. So what if we turned this thing on its head and said that I have a duality in purpose? The first is to God. The second is to myself and my family. And then the third is to community. How can what I know, what I have experienced, how can I contribute that to the liberation of my people? Won't we be just with each other? Next slide, please. And now, when I looked for this picture, because truly a picture was worth 1,000 words. So think about this. These are the first senators and congressmen after the Civil War ended. When Black people, Black men, because women couldn't vote, but Black men could vote, they elected people who looked like them. And the contribution that we're still benefiting from today, one of the contributions is the public school system. Because we were slaves, we were uneducated. So I hope this was helpful. I know I talk fast, so you'll have to forgive me. But you know, I'm a little seasoned, as the little advertisement says. So you know, I got when I think about being seasoned, I think about some seasoned salt, some jalapeno pepper. So I have to give it to you straight. And we need to be open and honest with each other, right? And then the last point I want to make. If you have a problem with your brothers and sisters, you get them behind closed doors in closed meetings and you have it out. But you don't bring that crap in the public, because those who want to keep you divided, they rejoice in that ignorance.
They will.
All right. So anyway, thanks for your time. I had a ball. Thank you, sister, for giving me this opportunity.
Well, no, thank you for sharing. So I got a whole bunch of questions.
Oh, here we go.
So you're not off the hook yet. There's a whole bunch of stuff. All right. So what you talked about, like this, the whole idea you had mentioned about this, like individual success. And so how do we balance individual success with collective progress? Because I feel like that is the challenge, especially in our community. And we talk about the crabs in the barrel idea, right? And how we're constantly just pulling each other down. And funny enough, well, not funny enough, but the other week, my pastor, Pastor A.R. Bernard at Christian Cultural Center, he talked about, that people compete on the bottom and they collaborate on the top. And I've been in both spaces. I've been in the bottom where I've seen people just competing. And I'm like, this is not how we do things. So all of the spaces in which I am in, I'm like, no, we have to come along. You can do the same thing I do, but God gave me a purpose to do things one way, and he gave you a purpose to do it another way. And it's enough. It's billions of people in this world is enough for both of us. So I don't need to feel like we're competition. So how do we balance that individual success with collective progress?
Okay, so for me, as you think about it, so I'm a homeowner, retired, get my full Social Security, and it got a nice pension, and I can still work and make a whole lot of money, right? And my life experiences, I was 50 when I got my first degree. I have two. So, and then my Six Sigma Green Belt I got in 2021. Everything that I do in community, I bring all that to bear. So it doesn't make me any less. As a matter of fact, it gives me joy knowing that my personal experiences and knowledges and contributions can benefit others who look like me. And then I already know. See, we lose sight of this. We go to church, we go to mosque, we go to synagogue, we do all this praying and stuff. And then when we come out of the church, we look at our success, the blessings of our success as we did it. No, we didn't do it. You got to give glory to God. And if you keep God first in there, that your blessing becomes a blessing to others. I mentioned earlier about, here's a little tip. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That part.
All right. So, and people only know what they know. People are so good at pretending, right? And if you can't manifest what you know in action, then what good is it? And so I'm in a room. If I see that there's an opportunity for what I know to benefit what's going on in the room, I speak up. Other than that, I don't say nothing. And I don't have to be in charge. You know why? Because I don't need the aggravation of being in charge and responsible, but I contribute all of what I have to the activity. And so we fight each other over crumbs.
Indeed.
I think $19 trillion is our collective buying power of late. We keep giving that money away to somebody else instead of giving it to ourselves. So, we only know what we know, sis. So I'm just, at the root of it is be humble, right? You got to be humble and know that, and I think it's in the Quran, it says that God hates the braggart as much as he hates the sound of an ass, the noise that an ass makes, right? So be humble. And sometimes what you gotta do is if you think about the 8 steps of atonement and Google it, it came as a result with the Million Man March. If we let that guide us, those kind of squabbles over the crumbs, we won't have any.
So thank you for saying that, because I feel like you're just going right into my next question. So talking about the Million Man March, it was one of the most successful marches that we have been able to enact, where we were all, for the most part, on one accord. Do you see that being something that is possible today?
So time for marching is over. Time for work is on. So the Million Man March, unlike the March on Washington and other marches, is because we want the government to give us something. But the Million Man March was about atoning with ourselves, coming together to say that we're going to do for ourselves. We're going to be better fathers, better husbands, better brothers. And so the time for marching is over. I mean, images are everything, right? So seeing a bunch of people marching for one purpose, it's nice to look at. Mm-hmm. But if the work doesn't follow the march, then like what, really what good is it? And so I would say that effort that went into the march, because I don't know if you recall, you're kind of young, so you might have been just a little tot back then, but there were local organizing committees set up all over the country in all of the cities, right?
Yeah.
What happened to them? Those could be the catalyst for doing this work, because there were people who were meeting on a monthly, bi-weekly, monthly schedule and planning out. And I'm going to give a shout out to, I don't know if you know him, but Brother Pastor Charles Boyer of Salvation and Social Justice here in Trenton has been fighting for us for a long time. And he actually sent out a word, and people are doing what the local organizing committees were designed to do right now in Trenton. And so if you look up Google Salvation and Social Justice, you'll get the map to how to get this stuff done. So there you go. I hope I got that one.
Yeah. So you said Salvation and Social
Justice, Trenton, New Jersey.
Got it. I will definitely look that up. So the other thing that you also brought up that I'm going to go towards, right, is the Montgomery bus boycott. So right now, I was sitting there, and one of my friends, she I love her. She on Instagram, she puts up NAACP talks with Target. Reason DEI initiatives, we must be valued. And then basically, in the notes, people are talking about why are we begging them to give us a space. And you have people like Tabitha Brown, who goes on earlier this week, and she's like, no, but our businesses are in Target and in Walmart. And if you don't go to those spaces and purchase our stuff, then they're going to kick us out. I have my own thoughts about that, but I would love to hear what yours are before I share my own. Where do you stand on this whole idea?
Okay, that's great. All right, I believe. All right, I feel that we should do for self.
Mm-hmm.
We should do for self. They just made up this name, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? They need us. If we don't spend our money in them stores, it's going to help. It's going to hurt maybe a few. I would like to know how many Black businesses have their stuff placed in these stores. And then we can be real targeted. I said, you'll love this one. I said, since COVID, the price of eggs has gone up 140%. We still buying eggs. The price went up because they couldn't move eggs back and forth, right? They couldn't get them to market. So they raised the price because the demand was so high. They didn't reduce the price when they could get the eggs. So we talking about Target. Why aren't we talking about the egg people? Why aren't we talking about the Pathmarks and the ShopRites that price their foods high? Let's just say, all right, pick a store and make an example. Pick one and make an example all over the country, social media, on for the next 3 weeks, we ain't buying from Target. Mm-hmm. We ain't spending a dime. If the Black businesses in Targets, if they doing real business, that 3 weeks ain't going to impact them but a little bit, but it's got to be bigger than them. It's got to be about the cause of Black liberation. And so that's just my 2 cents. I get it, and you got to get your paper. But if you only counting on the white man to sustain your business, that's problematic from your standpoint, because they throw us out all the time. Hell, they just came in and said we ain't doing DEI anymore. Mm-hmm. Get the hint, hint, hint. So don't go where you ain't valued. I remember. So I grew up in the late '60s, right? I remember Elijah Muhammad said they down there trying to get segregated. Want to eat it? Wait, open up a business and y'all go to your own business. Don't be begging to spend your money with them. That's my position, and I'm okay if we want to be equitable. See, that's the thing, right? We have to be equitable. And they don't want to be equitable. They discard us. So since they want to discard us, let's show them what it feels like when we gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my 2 cents, sister.
I'm loving it. So I just looked up because you made me think, right? So Target offered products of 100 Black-owned brands across various categories, including beauty, home goods, books, toys, apparel, and accessories. They have over 25,000 assortment company brands that are not Black-owned brands inside. So 25,000, we are only 100. So we're not even.
Hello.
We're not even.
Hello. That's what I was saying. But wait, check this out. So you gonna sink your teeth, and I hope people are paying attention, right? So I live in the state of New Jersey. In the state of New Jersey, the state of New Jersey does business contracts in the tens of billions of dollars annually. Black businesses, people who look like us, get less than 0.5% of those billions. But nobody's held accountable for that. And the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey has been banging that horn. And yet, Black people haven't stood up to say, that's wrong. You elect Democrats and Republicans and they don't do right by you. Why are you electing Democrats and Republicans? Excuse me, I know I get a little excited. We've been playing with this thing. And we need to stop playing. We are strong enough to do for ourselves if we unify. We can produce all we need.
I definitely agree. So that brings me to my last couple of questions. Last question on a specific topic. No, I love the passion because I'm like, yes. So and this is a question that I asked the speaker last week as well. You saying do for ourselves, right? We did for ourselves with Black Wall Street, with Seneca Village, with all of these different places. And they came and they burnt it down. They flooded it. They did all of these things. What would you say is the best way to protect ourselves in the event that we do that?
Okay,
again?
So the best example of that, because you have to defend what you own. We are a nation within a nation. The best example I could give you is the Nation of Islam. Established in 1930, still alive today. You can't run up in a mosque. You can't run up in one of the Nation of Islam's business and just talk about what you're going to do. Because we got to fight for what we say we love. We have 3 things that gets in the way of our success. The first is we fear men as we should only fear God. So cowardice. The second is being successful is hard work. Quite often, we got a little lazy. We don't want to, we do just enough. Well, mediocre and just enough ain't good enough. And then the last one is if we lock arms together on every set, they can't handle us because we got guns too. I'm sorry. and they license and some aren't licensed. I'm close on this note. In all of our cities, we have Black youth organizations. They refer to them as gangs. Have you ever talked to them? Young brothers? Them the warriors. Well, right? The young is for war, the old is for counsel. Have conversations with them young brothers. Teach them how to come away from the lives that they're living with the drugs. Have them open construction companies, build grocery stores. They can make more money doing that without worrying about stuff. And then we could patronize them. And when the enemy comes in the hood to do something, guess what? We ready for them. I'm sorry, sister. I don't believe.
No, don't be sorry. This unapologetic, Gene. I need you to be unapologetic. This is not a space to be sorry, because at the end of the day, we are in a crisis. And like I started off this conversation, we are reactionary. We have not been in a space where we are creating strategies ahead of time. I mean, look, Project 2025, we just heard about it. Yeah. It's been out for 10, 15 years. They've been orchestrating.
Yeah, so let me share some enlightenment, right? The Heritage Foundation did the first pass at this under Ronald Reagan. You remember the Reagan era? Do you remember how Black and poor people were hurt during the Reagan era? They just cleaned it up and shined it off. And people said, no, they wouldn't do that. Look at what's going on. So we have to be proactive. And I mentioned this earlier, I was going to hit it. The midterm elections is 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. You need to build strategy so that you get people in office who are going to be aligned with an agenda, what you must establish, and that's how you take power. If you draw awareness in the South, Black people don't participate in the South, but it was the South after Reconstruction or during Reconstruction that got you those Black senators, and we should do that. Why are we allowing people to control us when we built this country? And last note, everybody talk about reparations. I could share some information that reparations shouldn't happen at the national level. It should start from the bottom up. It should go to the states first, because all of those actions against us were happened by the sanction of state government.
Yeah,
we talking about, you want to go to Washington, start in your state house, hold them accountable. Where are all we got more PhDs and MBAs and attorneys than we ever had in history, and we still at the bottom. Shame on.
Yeah, no, and hence why Juneteenth is the celebration of Juneteenth. The reason why it took 2.5 years for Texas to finally release all their slaves is because each state had their own laws that they were enacting, and they were the last ones to jump on board. So so I totally agree. My last question to you before we close out is, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
So I am grateful. See, I don't dig just celebrating, right? That's really nice that we acknowledge the reality of what happened with Juneteenth, and we celebrate. I think now you get days off, right? So they pass laws where you can add a day off, and they have all these big celebrations, and they have parades and stuff. And then the next day, we go back to business as usual. So what good is celebrating Juneteenth if you aren't going to do the necessary planning, take action, evaluate whether the action is effective, take more action. If you're just going to celebrate, that's what he wants you to do. Now in all these stores, DEI, Targets, you can go out and buy Juneteenth cups and T-shirts, but they don't want to talk about DEI. I got a problem with that. So I'm a Black man who is very clear on our sojourn and the significance of Juneteenth. But if we don't change our collective reality through action to bear witness to Juneteenth, what good is it? It's just another day in a life. I'm just not one of them day in the life kind of brothers. You speak in my language, because when I got interviewed in 2021, when they asked me, so are you excited about it becoming a national holiday? I was like, yes and no. I was like, yes, I'm glad that more people are being forced to learn about Juneteenth, but no, because it's just going to be another day that people are just glad to be off and have a barbecue. And I said, and that's what it's about.
So
That's
thank
it.
you so very much for being real, for being transparent on today, for bringing all of your essence and all of your information
Yes,
in
ma'am.
on today's session. I'm going to put you backstage while I close us out. But
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
so much again, Gene. You were such a
Yes,
pleasure.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are a blessing to me, and I pray some of the words that I've shared help.
Yes, they did. Very much so.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that was full of energy. I hope you got something out of that. If you watch this live, I also hope that you get to share this with someone else, tag someone, share the links. This was encouraging. Definitely felt this week at the top of the week. These last 2 weeks have just been a defeating time for us in the Black community. Defeating mentally, emotionally, but not spirit wise, because we know who our help comes from, right? And I want us to stay focused on that and stay encouraged in that space in all that we do. As we close out on today, I just want to share a couple of things that we have going on. We have our Freedom Day that is coming up. So, and we're talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment being signed that allowed for us to be free. That happened, the signing of it by Congress happened on the 31st, by the president that happened on the 1st, February 1st. So we are doing a celebration this February 1st. If you are in the Harlem area, we encourage you to come out. We will be gathering around 12:30 at the Marcus Garvey Park. We will be at 1 o'clock on the dot, which is the 13th hour. We will be ringing the bell 13 times, and we will be sharing the 13th Amendment and having some testimonies during that time. It will be a short session, but we definitely encourage you to join us. Take a screenshot of this, and please let someone know who might be in the area if you are not able to join. This is definitely a monumentous moment that we want to continue to celebrate in different ways. Again, also want to share a call for speakers. We just closed our day, so thank you everyone who applied to be a speaker. We will be getting back to you very shortly. We do still have opportunities for those who want to be performers to reach out and to complete their applications. Next, our Black Kings. So we have all of our Black Kings nominated. Woo, woo. So we will be doing announcements in the next couple of days of our Black Kings. And this is just a space where we honor our men because they are the heads of our households, they're heads of our communities, and we need to let them know that we appreciate all the things that they are doing. There's so much behind that, and we did a whole segment on that. So definitely go back and watch the segment with Kimmy and I, where we talked all about that. Lastly, we have our fashion show models that closed on the designers closed this past weekend. But we have our next one that will be on February the 22nd, and that will be for our models. So if you are interested in being a model for our fashion show, and this year we are going to be talking about Pan-Africanism. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth, the Juneteenth flag, which is something that people are confused with the Pan-African flag. They are two totally different things, and also talking about the American flag as well. So that is all for me, y'all. I thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to having you with us next week, Thursday. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.